One thing I would like to bring up, and I'm sure Jay Hamps can actually contribute.
Something I can get involved with. Excellent, let's go.
Yeah, right. Okay. One thing that really pisses me off when it comes to reunions is when a band says that, right, that's it, it's over, we're definitely going to be gone, and they go away for 2 years, and then they come back.
I know
and
what
you know who I'm talking about? I'm talking about Alexis on Fire.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God.
What about Bowling for Soup, who promised to never come back?
That's turned into a great joke, though, hasn't
Fall
it?
Out Boy.
I do like Bowling.
Fall Out Boy, 4 years. My Chemical Romance, I bet they're going to be coming back. Blink-182 was like 4 or 5 years. All of those pop punk bands from like the mid-2000s, they all break up and come back a few years later before anyone's really missed them.
I think it's quite interesting because you get like Rage Against the Machine came back on the back of something else, which was really positive because there was obviously they recognised a fan desire to see them back, but they've not produced any
before that, weren't they?
Well, not back. I think they've reformed and played
come
poetry.
back. They played Reading and all that lot, and then
they've not released any new music since then. And then it's like there's a load of bands that you wish would fuck off, who have just been flogging a dead horse for years and years, like AC/DC, Blue.
Why do we keep picking on Blue? All right with the tune. Just accept it, right?
Other bands like...
if slacking off Blue is a crime, then I'm guilty.
Other bands like Take That reform, sort of 10 years later, are more successful than when they went away, and then don't pay any of their taxes. And it's just weird that you get so many different permutations of it, because, as you say, every band is different. But going back to what James was saying, 2 years, is that long enough? Could they not have just said, we're on hiatus? You've got to be damn sure before you play a farewell tour or a final show that this is it, this is the end. Because otherwise it's just like, why did all of those people buy tickets or buy merch at the last tour ever just to see you come back? It invalidates the emotion.
I think I'll counter that argument. And while I can appreciate, for the most part, it is bloody annoying when a band gets back together about 2 years afterwards, after you've spunked out a lot of money in likelihood to go and see the last gigs, because they always go up on eBay for stupid amounts. But you've got to remember, being in a band is pretty emotionally driven. It's a highly charged environment, and if a band's not getting on or the creative work's not coming out, then they might call time, and then suddenly, as soon as they're relaxed again, the relationships spark up, the creativity sparks up, and they go, fuck it, let's do it.
I mean, I guess that does happen in some situations, and that's when they produce new music, but there are a lot of bands that just reform just to tour the same album that they were touring before.
And I mean, part of it, I guess, is also everyone's got a price. If a promoter's turning around to Bowling for Soup, for instance, and saying, well, we can float you 10 grand for your next tour, for a band at their level, I assume that's quite a fair bit of money. For a quick 20-day jaunt.
I mean, let's even look at the big one that's hot on everyone's lips at the moment, the very possible Guns N' Roses original lineup.
I don't know is that really going to happen?
I think it'll happen, but without
another one that pisses me off.
Without Stephen Adler, I reckon it'll be Matt Sorum and Graham.
Like, bands will split up and they'll come back and they'll be bigger than they were before, purely because they split up. It's almost like it's almost like a marketing tool these days. Should we just split up and then get back together again? Because everyone will suddenly be interested.
When the Verve formed, Richard Ashcroft actually said it's just so they can headline Glastonbury.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, I mean, it's a bit controversial, but Refused. Most people in the world know one song. And it's true. Like, they are a damn good, but most people know one song, and it's only because of that one song they split up and they reform that everyone's interested, because it's got that hype of that one song. That is literally it.
The new album was really boring. Like, it wasn't a great release. So yeah, they're one of those bands that has just come back for one thing. But then there's that, like, if a band comes back and it hasn't got the same amount of members as when it left, or it's got different members, can they claim to be like I was thinking,
Panic at the Disco?
Yeah, or All American Rejects, or Blink-182.
I'd also argue the Pixies aren't the same without Kim.
Well, I guess it's how many members can you lose before you don't become the same band? I mean, it's a completely different topic again, but I guess it still sits on the reunion trail. But I mean, yeah, so Guns N' Roses, for example, when they played at Reading, it was literally just Axl Rose, wasn't it? I don't think there was any other original members.
Man, that was so shit.
It was awful. They were 2 hours late to get on.
But Buckethead's always a spectacle.
Although I've got one question for you guys. Now I know the answer for me. It's a band that's been on hiatus since 2005. Now they genuinely have been on hiatus. I want to see Reform and get the hell back out there because I think they're more relevant than they were 10 years ago, and that's the Mad Capsule Markets. Seriously, I know you'll laugh, Jake, but seriously, the Japanese band, seriously, man, they're still the biggest band in Japan. They are still statistically the biggest band in Japan. Fuck Baby Metal, nah.
You never heard Girls' Generation?
Baby Metal.
You never heard Girls' Generation? They're massive. They're like 16 members. Yeah, pretty good.
What are they, like a Japanese Wu-Tang or something?
They're like K-pop.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they're like Wu-Tang if they were all girls and sung pop music.
But who are the bands, just one band each, that you would like to see reunite?
Right, I'm going to give one that I think James will agree with her.
Sway.
Husker Du.
Husker Du.
Several times every week.
Husker Du, yeah, man.
Husker Du.
Yeah.
And Pavement.
Pavement. They've really reformed though, haven't they?
Yeah, I argued this a couple of years back on an article we did for the site. And I think my argument essentially was when they reformed last time, it was clearly for the money. I can't remember the exact member, but one of them had gambling debts. It's kind of a bit of an unknown thing. And I think if they came back as a creative thing, then they're still up there with any other band of that era.
That's impressive. What about you, Jay Hamps?
I would say Reuben, probably the bands that I'd like to see.
Reuben were good.
Yeah, I think they came about in an era where there were a lot of quite similar bands, and maybe they didn't benefit from the same kind of press attention that the others did. So they didn't get as big as they maybe deserved to get. And Jamie Lemon, the frontman's released a solo album a couple of years ago, which was really great. So obviously, he's still got all the faculties to do it. But I don't know, it would be a case of them reforming and me just wanting to see them play the first album all the way through. So maybe it wouldn't be worth it.
But then again, Reuben still sound as fresh as they did back then, and the same could be said for Your Code Name is Milo, the Cooper Temple Clause, all that
Cooper
era
Temple
of bands.
Clause for sure.
Oh man, all that era of bands that still sound as fresh. Even Million Dead, that would be so worth it.
Can I just make a personal appeal here?
Go for it.
Paul McCartney, if you're listening, get Wings back together.
Can I make a personal appeal? Paul McCartney, if you're listening, just fuck off, all right? Fuck off.
What if we played the frog chorus? Will we get away with it?
No.
La 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 la. What about you, Jack?
I'm really struggling to think of one. Because honestly, all the bands that I've, for example, I know there was rumours of LCD Sound System getting back together. Although I'd love to see them.
Too soon?
Yeah. Well, not only that, I don't want them to get back together really ever. They had the perfect end, the perfect ending. They had a farewell tour. They released a farewell, disc for Record Store Day. So it's really difficult. Every band that I love that has broken up, I think they've got a perfect legacy. I don't want them to. The only bands I can think of haven't actually officially broke up and are in fact working on new material. They're just doing quiet for a while. So Radiohead, for example, they've not done anything for 4 years and they've not toured for a little while. But so there's no one that's actually broken up that I really want to see get back together. Off the top of my head, I can't think of many because it's just such a tricky thing. If they fucked it up, I'd be more. If I went to see a show of one of my favourite bands and they fucked it up, I'd be mortified. It'd be terrible. But yeah.
Just what on that subject?
I was going to say, the only thing I want to reform is Ace of Base. I'm not even lying.
Yeah.
I love Ace of Base.
What, even though they're Nazis, Chris?
No, this was everyone's done wrong, right? Ignore that.
Lost profit.
That didn't happen. Right? Just forget that. You just had a bad. You went for a bad patch, right?
Is that being edited out?
Ace of Base are my favourite pop band from when I was young. Ace of Base. Love to see I Saw the Sign live. Brilliant. Clearly no one agrees with me, but don't care.
Silence.
Right. Has anyone seen a band before and after?
After what?
Like during their initial before the sex change, no, before and after they've reunited, like, you know, in their initial period and then once they've reunited.
I'm not sure actually. Have I? I don't know. Cap Down, does that really count? Lightyear, loads of old ska punk bands that play at Slam Dunk, but.
And what were your opinions?
Well, the thing is that they didn't really do it for money. They just do it for fun because they didn't make any money. But
Enjoyable the first time.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, like nostalgia kind of thing. It was good. It was fun for them as well because they don't play that often. So it was just kind of like, it's kind of like getting your mates' band together and having a jam kind of thing. No one really took it kind of seriously. It was just kind of like, oh, cool, they're playing.
I think the only band that I've seen before and after, and actually I'll probably say they were just as good after as they was before, was Hell is the Heroes. I saw the first time I saw them was when they supported Feeder on the Comforting Sound tour. Then I saw them a couple of times at Reading Festival, even when Justin, the vocalist, was I think he had supposed like meningitis or something like that. And even like back then, they were still going hard. And then I saw them do a headline show. I think it was the Proud Galleries in London, actually, and they blew my mind. They were so good, but they were just as lively as they was back then. So I think there is instances where it's not just necessarily for the money, it's because of the passion that those guys still have for that band.
Each person then, I don't know, just give your summary. Reunion bands, good, bad, quick little snippet. What do you reckon, James?
I think that depending on your stance, it could be a good or a bad thing. I know most bands do usually tend to get back to the money, but isn't that part of being a business? The fact is, if you've still got a passion for it and the fans still have that hunger to actually want to see you, and if you as a musician actually feed off that, then you can actually go on, try and create some new music and all live happily ever after. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because there's always a new generation of people that still yet to see that band. So,
okay, mine?
If you've got a crack addiction to service, reuniting's a good deal.
Okay, Jay.
Dear me, how much of this are we going to have to edit out?
I don't know.
Just leave it in.
Who's going
Could I try that one again?
We're going straight to Jay.
It all depends on the motivation of the bands. If they're in it for the right reasons, then yeah, go ahead. As long as it's not only 2 years later. Thank you very much, Alexis on Fire. Also, Gary Barlow, pay your fucking taxes. All right.
Okay, and Jack?
yeah.
Do it if you want to actually do it, not for the money, and take tips from these guys. Take tips from Swans, and
That's like
take tips from Death Grips, because, you know, I said and Swans.
Oh, right,
Take tips from Death Grips, because, I mean, their breakup's been, well, about a year, was it? No, less than a year, and then they got back together.
8 months.
In fact, no. Yeah, ridiculous. But, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Really good stuff.
What about you, Chris? What do you think?
What do I think? Personally,
Jerry's final thought.
Yeah, Chris's final thought. Personally, if bands want to reform, that's fine. But if you're going to reform and do it properly. Don't just reform for the money. Put on a decent show because you've got fans that want to see you, and not just for you to just stand there and rake in the money, because it's not doing anyone any favours, and everyone's just going to be annoyed at you and call you twats. Is that all right?
Can I add one final Martin top tip?
Got him.
Wait until Bob Geldof calls. That way you know you're not a sellout.
Okay, that's the final thought then. Right, if you like the podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, leave us comments, let us know what you think, and we'll see you for podcast number 3 soon.
Man, don't care about all that.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.